when I was a kid in 70s and 80s, there were a lot of cheap reading options. You could buy a paperback book for $1 or less. You could buy a comic book for
Where did you
35.
shop?
They
That's where he
had
got
like
Faces of Death. No, Grandma got it that for him.
Once upon a time, 3 writers helped crack open the indie publishing world. Then they rode into the sunset, building bigger stories, taking bigger swings, and learning what actually lasts when the noise dies down. Now the band is back together, older, sharper, and uninterested in shortcuts. This is the Smarter Artist Show with Sean Platt, Johnny B. Truant, and David W. Wright. It's the same 3 voices you know talking about the craft and commerce of storytelling, from the work they're creating to the TV shows and movies they can't stop thinking about. Shop talk for artists playing the long game in a creative world that never slows down. If you've been here since the early days, welcome back. If you're new, pull up a chair. You're listening to the Smarter Artist Show. Let's get into it.
Welcome to the Smarter Artist Show, episode
What's
2. We actually made it 2 episodes.
You realize
I'm
this is the
David Wright.
longest streak we've ever had?
It
It's the longest streak in 6 years. That's a true story. That's a rock fact.
So I'm David Wright. This is my co-host, Sean Platt, and Johnny B. Truant. You may remember us from the self-publishing
Johnny is the
podcast.
B for bitch.
And we're
Bitch.
already off track. Awesome.
Well, you missed it before we started recording. Well, you didn't miss it, Dave, because you were here. Those of you keeping
Was I
score at
really?
home, Johnny was announcing that he's going to use the word bitch more, which I think is aces. I think it's a good idea.
Good. Well, we'll just clear that with the public, shall we? I want to just say that it's a uniform sort of bitch. It's not directed at any demographic.
Oh, yeah, no. Bitch is like, I don't know.
Yeah,
For some
stop being a
people,
bitch and let Dave talk.
it's like the.
I've told my son you can never, if you're mad at a girl, you can never call her a bitch, but you can call her a dick, and you could call guys bitches. So you swap it up, and it's not as
That's
offensive.
totally true. That's totally true. I actually think I would never, ever call a woman a bitch, but I'd totally call them an asshole. Like if they were being an asshole. Stop being an asshole.
The
We
best
should offend
podcast ever.
as many people as we can.
I didn't start it, man. I'm just defending myself.
So the topic of today's show, stories are dead and long live story. And we're going to talk about, the changes that have happened partly because of the rise of AI, partly because of short attention spans.
Can we call this episode
TikTokification,
Rise of the Robots then?
the rise of the robots? Call it that. Well, is the whole show about robots?
Isn't everything these days about robots? Isn't just that where we are?
I don't know where you go on Pornhub, but no, it's not all robots. So, yeah, okay.
All right. Well, so we've got bitches.
Okay, I got
and
my
Pornhub.
checklist here.
Yeah.
Bitch, Pornhub. All right, we're good.
Well, we haven't gotten any children in jeopardy yet, so we got to hit that in a 5-minute window.
The funny thing is that this is probably charming to people who've listened to us like back in the day, and the
And
people
super
who've never
off-putting
seen
to
us before, they're just like,
everybody else.
oh yeah, they're gonna like review us, give us 1 star, say it is a podcast. It's oh yeah.
I was editing our first episode, and
Sorry about that.
I was enjoying it. I was very much enjoying it. I used to never listen to the episodes, but now that I
Oh,
have
Johnny
to, because I'm
listened to them
editing.
for you. Johnny
Yes.
used to listen to all of our episodes twice.
But I enjoyed it, although I did notice a little bit of criticism from Johnny saying how the show sucked, the host sucked. And, I'm getting that
That's the
vibe
new
again.
dog.
Was
Johnny,
I wrong?
He's the new Dave. He has to bitch about everything, including bitches.
wow. Am I the man now? Am I like the corporate man? And,
Yes.
wow, okay. I
Yes.
don't like this either. How about we just have Sean be the host, and then Johnny and I just bitch like the whole time?
No, that show does not exist. Not even in an alternate timeline in the multiverse.
We just take shots at you the entire episode.
There you go.
Okay, so yeah, all right. Let's. Well, do we want to do something cool first?
I have something cool, but it's not story related at all. It's more just like life related, but it is cool.
A
Maybe.
tattoo you got?
No. Okay, do you know what this is? Or actually, you won't know what this is. I may have told you, Dave. I don't think so, but either of you guys know what this is?
A mason jar?
Yes.
Yeah, that
but
would be a
you-
mason jar.
Yeah,
what's in
it's
there?
what you keep your urine in.
No, it is not where I keep my urine.
So nobody gets it because,
So
you know,
see,
when you
little things-
flush it down the toilet, the government can get your urine and use it. Never mind.
Oh,
Go
so
on.
much for me being the new Dave.
You
so
can never out Dave.
so that mason jar and these little post-its. So this is every single week on Sunday, I put a little post-it in here and I say, this was the best part of my week. And I write it down and fold it up on the post-it and put it in the jar. And this was Cindy's idea last a full year ago, like last week of December in 2024. She said, going into 2025, let's do this. And then in January of 2026, we'll sit down and we'll take all of the post-its and we'll kind of revisit our year. And so we did it last Sunday, and it was such an awesome exercise. And it was really cool because like we had our two different piles and we would just like take out our post-its, and I don't know, there's something like, I don't know, some weird synchronicity in the way like I would pick up a date, and whether she had a date very similar to mine randomly or like something I would read was directly relevant to whatever she read. And it was a really, really cool exercise as like a couple bonding thing. This is how we spend our year, but also just like reflecting past the year. And like there's some things that were like highlights, like, oh, this amazing thing happened. And it ended up not being amazing later as as the year unfolded, or the opposite, you know, or it's just the perspective that you have a year later when kind of laying things out. I don't know. I've never, you know, I'm really intentional about my New Year's, and I always pick my New Year. Unity, that's my word for the year. And I love that, but I've never done anything like this, and it was really, really cool. And we're already doing it again. I can't wait till next year. So anyway, I know it's really like geeky. I know Dave, you would never ever do that, and Johnny, you're probably rolling your abs. But
Well, I was trying to think of clever ways to make fun of it, but nothing clever enough came up. So
You are
you win on
incorrect.
this one.
You're incorrect. I did do something just like that. When you told us about it last year, I decided to do it. Me and my wife did it together, and we didn't have any cool mason jars because, you know, we're not that fancy, but we did take a water jug and we did the Post-it notes in the water jug, and we wrote down every good thing that happened for a year. And this is it right here.
Dave's
knew you
holding
were
up an
fucking with me.
actual bottle.
Did I ever tell you about this, or the whole thing was a joke?
The whole thing was a joke.
Okay, I thought so.
You did mention it. I don't know if it was in the last episode or somewhere else. You did mention the mason jar thing, but
Yeah, there was
Well-
a scary moment there where I was listening to Dave's story and thought it might be a real sincere story.
I did too, but
God, no.
something pretty slim.
Me too.
Because
have
you know
something cool,
nothing
Dave?
good would happen.
Do you have a real something cool, Dave?
I do not have anything cool, and I'm disappointed with myself. Can that be the something cool? My disappointment.
disappointed
I haven't
in
been
yourself.
disappointed with myself yet this year. So I mean,
Really? It's the 20.
I find that very hard to believe.
okay, maybe a little somewhere, but I don't remember. So it
I
doesn't
imagine
count.
Sean being like, well, maybe you should. Here,
I
I got a
got a
list
list
for
of
you.
10 things right
Can we
here.
talk about the current deadline that you're now 4 days behind? Because I feel like you should be disappointed in yourself for that.
Well, that's a new Dave. Dave doesn't care. He doesn't have any disappointment.
Oh, that's great. Dave's on rails. I like it.
I have one that I'm writing Unicorn Heathens and finally feel like it's getting to be a little bit more, like it's starting to feel a little bit more like I can keep going. And this is not new. Anybody who's like on my list and heard me mention this like several times, like,
Your hit
who
list?
cares, dude? Right? Like you've been talking about Unicorn Heathens for a while. Well, yeah, because it's really hard to get that momentum back. But I felt today like, okay, I'm starting to get there. That's been a long, and it's personal. Like nobody else is going to care about that except for the readers when it's eventually done. But it's hard to restart a writing habit. I took kind of an awkward long pause. So it's nice to feel it back a little bit.
Well, I can echo that because I spent some time with Unicorn Heathens this last weekend, and it was really fun. Like I laughed a bunch. You know, I had a really good time in the words, and it was so charmingly stupid and fun. I mean, stupid as like a positive. I mean, stupid like when you say bitch.
Yeah.
Was wonderful. I enjoyed the characters, I enjoyed the world, and it did feel like no time had passed. Like, it felt like, "Oh, this is what it's like to write with Johnny," and so that was great.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's like when we were, I don't know if you feel the same way, but like when we were writing together originally, it was always it was always fun. It was always a great deal of fun, but it was always with mind on like deadline and profit and all that. And that's true. Like, obviously we want to sell it, but that isn't the way it feels. Like, to me, it feels like we're doing this because it's fun. And I know that's true for you because you have a billion other things and you had to shoehorn it in. So it's kind of neat to write with that compass instead.
Well, interestingly, for me, this time going through it, this was always like very, very back of my mind was, "Oh, wouldn't it be cool if this was a movie series or a TV show one day or whatever?" But the landscape of, like, streaming and films has changed so much since 2000, was it 13 was the first time we wrote Unicorn
I think
Western?
that's right. Yeah.
So it's been 13 years. Media has changed a lot. That's one of the things we're talking about today. Media has changed a lot, but now I'm actively like I'm in pitch meetings all the time, and as I'm going through the copy, I'm imagining pitch decks. I'm imagining like how I would present this as like a TV show that has to get made, and it's really cool because the series itself is just really vibrantly visual. Like there's a lot that we can play with, and it's just been it's fun to have that lens as I'm going through it.
Sounds like we're describing evolving with the changing landscape of story, almost as if we were on topic. It sounds kind of like
Weirdly,
that to
this
me.
was not planned, but I do like how this episode is panning out.
So, to that point and getting on track, I guess, why do you think the landscape has changed so much? Because I know, at least with my son, he doesn't read books really. None of his friends read books, except, a couple of the girls that he's friends with. They read. Girls are single handedly holding up the reading
Yeah, I would agree
bargain,
with that.
but boys, not so much. And it's weird because when I grew up, I read a lot, but I don't know if that was just because I was bored. I didn't have many friends and there was no such thing as an internet, or really, I didn't have many like video games. So I was kind of forced to like fill the boredom with books.
My
So
son
I think,
does read, but he reads graphic novels. He actually loves books. He'll collect them. But as far as prose, which I would love if he'd read prose because selfishly, but like he reads a lot of graphic novels. My daughter reads a fair amount too. So yeah. Interestingly, I was talking to her, we went camping a few days ago, so I got a lot of time, and we were talking about that thing that I know we all noticed and have talked about before, where we all thought that the next generation was going to be all electronic.
Oh, but they're so into
They're
print.
not. They're the opposite. Like she was even like, I would never want to read an ebook. She's like, I want a paperback.
Yeah, I tend to live in the future a little bit and always like thinking, what are things gonna be like? And I was totally wrong on that. I did not see that. I thought that digital was where things were going, and I love that it's not. I love that there is this appreciation for print. My son doesn't read, has never liked to read, but I don't really. I think that's more of a personality thing with him. I don't think that even if he was born 30 years ago, I don't think he'd be a reader. I think that that's not how he consumes. My daughter loves to read. She has a long commute and she listens to audiobooks all the time. I think she listened to over 100 books last year. But she also, when she has a book, it's print. Like she wants to see the written word. And I do think that that's a really cool and interesting trend. I think that things are cyclical. And I think that there's going to be a movement with some of the kids who are growing up now when they have children. I think that they'll want their children to read and they'll enforce it more where
too bad there won't be any books left.
where I feel like the last generation, a lot of those parents were like, have an iPad, like it changed the relationship with the written word. And I think that we might go back the other way a little bit. Not all the way. I don't think there's any putting the genie back in the bottle, but I see intentional. So like, even though my son doesn't read, I think that when he has a family, I think that he appreciates reading for sure. He appreciates that his father's an author and he appreciates books. He just doesn't connect with them. That's not how he doesn't even like movies. And I love movies, but that's just not who he is. But I absolutely think he'll take his children to the theater because I think he understands the importance there. And I think he'll want his children to read books. I, I think there's a pendulum.
I feel like for when I was a kid in 70s and 80s, there were a lot of cheap reading options. You could buy a paperback book for $1 or less. You could buy a comic book for
Where did you
35.
shop?
They
That's where he
had
got
like
Faces of Death. No, no, Grandma got it that for him.
They were less than $1 when I was growing up.
Are
Maybe
you 30 years
$2.
older than I am, and I just don't know this?
Back in my day,
I didn't like paperbacks. I liked it on the back of a shovel.
the stone tablets I bought were like rather cheap, and the comic books were 35 cents. Nowadays, like I saw a story the other day about like the largest or maybe the only one left in America paperback book company is ending. Stop. They're not doing the little paperbacks anymore, like the pocketbooks.
I remember
Only
pocketbook.
trade paperbacks now. Just vanishing, and those aren't cheap. Comics are not fucking cheap. There is no cheap option to read and no easy option to read. Ebooks are about the closest thing. You can get an ebook pretty cheap or for free. But if kids aren't reading ebooks, what the fuck? No thoughts on? Okay, that's the
No,
end of the show.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to, because I'm not the host anymore, so I'm trying to like be respectful, and then I got so respectful that I forgot what I was going to say. I will say that that my son also likes CDs, like physical
Really?
CDs. Yeah. He'll go buy physical CDs. There are a lot of bands that are putting out tapes. And I'm like, why would you put out tapes? Like that was the dip, man. That was the worst phase of music. It has all the
Remember
negatives
tapes
and none of
getting
the
all caught up in the
Oh yeah,
fucking
you had to have a
CD?
number 2 pencil to wind it, and then when it would come out of like the tape deck in your car, and you had to like fish in with your finger to try not to rip the tape to get it off the heads. Yeah, it's but I think we're living in a world where like these kids grew up in a world where you don't get to touch, like nobody touches their money or their music or their TV, or like we don't hold things as much anymore. So I think they're pushing back. That's the way it feels to me.
Yeah, I agree with that.
You're gonna get those TVs that only have the like dial channel.
Well, my daughter
use the coat
wanted
hanger.
for Christmas a digital camera. Now I know that that's a digital camera. It's not like, but she had a Polaroid once too. But like the fact that she went
But
from
you
the
have everything
phone,
a digital camera comes with is on your phone.
a much better digital camera, but it's like
So
she
what's
wanted
the
to
purpose of
separate
that?
those.
Is it like the focus? Like I have the camera
No,
and it's only the camera?
I guess. I mean, I
A
still don't
Canon?
really know the answer to that question.
I like my digital cameras still. Like I have a couple of Canons, like that big, a deck of cards big. It's good. I
Is it
like
so
it
that
more
you
than a
can
phone.
hold it and it feels like a camera rather than like
It is a different quality. I feel it's a better quality. You have Zoom, which my phone doesn't have. I know there are phones that do have Zoom.
well, you could do it with like apps and stuff.
Yeah, well, I don't have an iPhone anymore. I got a crappy ass Android, so.
But is it
But even an app that zooms doesn't. It's not true zoom. You don't have like a big 1 meter. What do you call it? Sensor on a phone. It's faking it. It's not doing a real zoom. It's
but my question
pixelated.
is it the quality of the image that if somebody wants a digital camera, is it the quality of the image that they're after, or is it the experience of holding a camera and treating it like more of a photographic
Probably
experience?
both.
I think it's
Probably
more of the
both.
latter in our
Yeah, I would
case.
think it's more the latter too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it depends. What kind of camera you got.
Well, it's like sometimes, even same, my daughter will want to wear a watch sometimes, and not like an Apple Watch. I don't, and I guess sometimes it's like an accessory thing, like you just want it because like the way we would wear a bracelet.
The old $10 Casio watch.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think she might have worn my wife's broken Swiss watch. Like I got her one like years and years ago, and it didn't break. The battery ran out, and it takes like some specialized tool that they only have in Switzerland. So it just when the battery ran out, it was just done. So if we
My
ever go
mom used
back,
to
we
drive
can
me to swap meets like every
refurb it.
single Sunday, and there were always these
Wizard stick.
vendors who would sell watches for $1. Like they were like these cheap ass watches, and they would always break the next Sunday, and then I would just get another one. I always had a new watch. Now I'm horrified at all the watches I've littered the world with. Yeah, that's when watches were the same cost as Dave's books.
So, Okay, so we've established that books are a dying medium. So where do we go from here? What value is there in fiction? Do we wait? Do people wait to tell their story, or what?
Well, I think it's a polarization. I don't think it's absence. Like I don't think it's going away. It's kind of like how when you were talking about the little like pocketbooks, I was thinking of mass theaters. And it's like you don't really see those anymore. At least I have never run into one in the past 10 years. Now they're all like luxury loungers and you can order food to your table and shit like that. So it's more of a boutique experience. It's
Well,
like,
you live in Austin. Those shitty theaters still
do
exist
they still
in other
exist?
parts.
Okay, well, let's just say
Well,
that
and
it's
here,
trending
there's a
that way.
couple. There are a couple in Austin, but they're discount theaters.
Well,
It's like,
there's like that Southland Theater or something up
Yeah.
north. But my point is, it's like, I feel like it used to be the way you saw movies. Just like, and if you didn't, you had to, like, they just had to jam people in. And now it's like you're choosing specifically, volitionally to go see a movie. So you want this elevated experience. And it feels to me like the little paperbacks were utilitarian and ebooks have mostly replaced those as cheap. And then we want, like, if I'm going to get a paperback, I want a better looking paperback. I want one that feels better, has better paper. And to me, in my experience, because I've been doing a lot of live selling of books, and the people who want physical books in a physical place to meet the author, they're like this purified reader in a weird way. It's like these people who just love books rather than people who just are like, oh, there's a story, I think I'll pick it up. So that's, to me, it's like akin to the 1,000 True Fans thing overall. It's just, it's more of a pure experience. So I think the people who are going to be reading our books are going to be the ones who really want them more, which is nice. But I imagine there'll be fewer of them. So there's that too.
Yeah, I think there will be fewer for sure, but I think it's like I think the relationships will go deeper. Relationships with story will go deeper. I think all mediums have changed. So one of the saddest things that I've heard in the last several years in regard to story was it was a mandate, and it was a mandate specifically from Netflix, and it was that now I don't think this is true across their entire catalog because they still have some amazing shows coming out. I don't know if either of you guys saw Adolescence last year, but Adolescence was like, it was just A+ limited series. It was 5 episodes, I think, maybe 4, but every single one was just one long take, the entire episode, and it was amazing. Cindy and I watched it and we're like, oh my god, what the fuck did we just watch? And then we watched it again, like immediately the next day we started it again. And it's something that you're like glued to the TV. You have to pay attention. You're watching every moment. But the mandate that they had was quite the opposite, which was we need when you create content, when you're writing scripts, when you're pitching series, it needs to be something where the viewer can look down at their phone while it's on, because they understand that that's not a battle that they're going to win. Now, again, Netflix is a for-profit company. Like, they need to keep their viewers. And so they're like, look, we understand that pretty much 93% of anybody watching anything at any given time is going to have their phone in their hand. I mean, I hate my phone. I leave my phone in my office for that reason. Like, I don't want to be on my phone while I'm watching it. She was telling me about an article that she just read with Matt Damon, because he and Ben Affleck have this new Netflix movie called, I think it's called The Rip. And Matt Damon was talking about how movies have totally changed. And this was another Netflix mandate. And for them, it was that the premise of the movie has to be repeated through dialogue 5 or 6 times throughout the movie, just to remind viewers what they're watching and what it's about, because they're on their phones. Like, the storyteller in me is like, well, that's fucked up, right? Like, that is fucked up. But then also the storyteller in me is like, well, if that's the reality, how do I tell stories that still manage to do that and manage to hold the modern audience attention, but do it in an elevated way and do it in a way that doesn't sell out the story? Or in fact, Johnny, that would be funny to do that in Unicorn Heathens, where, like, Clint and Edward are reminding the reader what it's about, because that's how content is these days,
Exposition City.
Yeah, it's like we had the joke about going to exposition labs, right? Like, we don't want to take our audience to exposition labs where they're basically just like turn into the camera and explaining shit. But if that is the modern reality, then how do you do that in a way that still delights you as a storyteller and engages the audience and kind of winks for the people who know what you're doing?
I think it's different for TV and film versus books, though. I do.
How so?
Well, just because that's more mass market, right? And I'm sure, Sean, that correct me if I'm wrong because I don't follow these things, but I'm guessing that there are things that buck that trend too. Like I'm guessing Apple TV is a little less that way than Netflix.
Well, yeah, for sure. One of my favorite things that I've seen in ages was Pluribus, and I think we even talked about it a tiny bit last week. But it's amazing. But there's like, I mean, Vince Gilligan is not afraid to have a 15-minute sequence with no dialogue, and if you're not paying attention, good luck figuring what the show's about. Like they'll have the main characters just vacuuming for 5 minutes, and you're like, I know this is going somewhere. But yeah, I agree that it is more mass market in that way.
There's these I've seen YouTubers making fun of them. There's these different like social media platforms that show television shows broken down into like 2 to 5 minutes in episodes, episodic, serialized, very bad TV, and it's insane. Like you can watch these like on TikTok or stuff, or on the individual apps, and they're so badly done. They're like if us three decided to write a parody of the worst of like 70s TV shows or 90s TV shows, it wouldn't even come close to this. It's really bad, but it makes me wonder, like, these do really well. People are
Do
watching
you have an
them.
example for people like me who have no idea what you're talking
Yeah, I
about?
also have no idea
No,
what you're talking about.
I didn't fucking write it down. No, I was watching it with my son, but I know they do well. It's just, and a lot of times they'll even star like people from YouTube or TikTok, people that we don't even know. And it's just cheesy, cringy shit. And people are watching it. It's like, because it's 3-4
Well,
minutes.
I mean, I'll speak from my perspective, but I think this is probably true of all of us, is I don't think any of us have been swinging for the bestseller fences, or if we have, it's been in vain, right? Sean, when you and I tried to sell out a few times, like jokingly tongue in cheek, but not really, it's like, let's go right down the middle with something. And then we end up with something like Invasion, which for the first book, almost, except for the ending, like we couldn't even nail it in the first book, but
Right,
that
but
felt
then book 2 just goes
book two
all
goes
the way
totally
off
off
the
the
rails.
right,
Yeah.
exactly. So like I've always been operating in a niche. Like I've never gone to mainstream. The mainstream has always seemed kind of stupid to me. There, I don't want to name names, but like my wife
No,
is in a
please
book
do.
club. My wife is in a book club, and they'll read, really popular books sometimes. Sometimes they read more niche stuff, and they'll be like big names that are like mega bestsellers, and they'll be like, that was not good. Like we know that phenomenon. That phenomenon has always existed. 80s sitcoms, not good. So like,
Hey,
but they were super popular. So like, I guess what I'm
they
saying is
raised me more than my parents.
I was always shooting for the niche. And I think, and the world is big enough that I personally, maybe I'm naive. I'm not too concerned about that because my people have always been off the center.
Well, I think that is the future of storytelling right there, is connection that you have with the storyteller that goes beyond the content, because we're what, a year away max from, like, let's say you have your favorite, you're like, okay, romance readers, right? Romance is a massive market, and that is a place where you can, quote unquote, sell out because the tropes are so specific and people read that content for very specific tropes. But a year from now, we're 18 months, 2 years, 6 months, I don't know. But in the not too distant future, you could say, hey, here's the kind of book I really, really like. And your favorite AI can deliver you a book like that in email every day. And you can read a new book that hits all those, ticks all those boxes. So technically the content is there, but there's no storyteller that you care about. And I think that is a differentiator. It's, there's somebody could write in the unicorn Western style. And, if there was a massive unicorn Western fan and, they taught their AI to write in that style, it doesn't matter how close it sounds to what me and Johnny could produce together. It would never be what me and Johnny could produce together because it's born from the conversations that we have. It's born from the experiences that we have. It's born from our private jokes. It's born from jokes, that we're giving to our audience. And so I don't think that can be replicated. And in a future where you can kind of like custom order any kind of entertainment you want, that's coming down the pike. And I think that the storyteller relationship has more value than ever. And maybe a lot of people, if we're talking about mainstream, a lot of people won't care. They won't want that storyteller relationship. But the minority who does, it will become disproportionately important to them and therefore worth more.
But how okay, if the storyteller, the creator, is eventually going to be buried by algorithms, we're not going to be shown to people in the same way that this AI slop is coming out. Where it's going to be harder, I feel, to find your audience on the existing
Yeah.
platforms.
It will, but I personally, I don't give a fuck about Amazon anymore. Like my books are there, but like that's like I'm not
Yeah,
trying
but
to.
Johnny's selling at the Galleria, like Johnny's going to in-person events. At Sterling and Stone, we're trying to hit a lot of different mediums. And I think that, I mean, Johnny's very religious for the book, right? Like that's the experience that he wants to give.
Legion.
Allegiant to the
He's
book.
starting his cult.
That's the experience that he really wants with his audience. But like, I just want to tell stories. So Joel, who is a master storyteller in our studio, and he's just on fire lately. He's just like excited about all the storytelling possibilities. He's not somebody who is seeing this new world as limiting. He's seeing it as actually there's more opportunity than ever. Yesterday, I had a Slack and he's like, dude, I know you're busy, but bear with me. There was like this long idea along with proof of concept. And it was really, really cool. It was like basically this body horror premise that would be just perfect for like a podcast, like a daily podcast that you listen to for like 3 months as it tells the whole story in these different chapters. And I'm like, that's a really cool idea. And so I think that because there's now tools that allow us to do like express our storytelling in a lot of different ways, I think creators will start creating in different ways. And I think that consumers will find the creators that they really identify with and say, wow, I want to see what this person is doing next. Where, Johnny's going to be writing his stories like probably until he dies. Like he is a born author. And so there's going to be people who just want to read his next book. It doesn't matter what it's about. It doesn't matter if it has a unicorn or a robot or some sad dude who's like, I don't know, like, I don't even know.
That was a strange one. Sad dude.
It's a
Well, I'm
bagel
looking
shop,
at Dave.
dude.
Dave's right in the middle of us, and he just exudes sad dude.
Wow.
That's where it went.
At least it's not Unabomber anymore.
No, that is true. So I think that we need to be leaning in hard, like the whole right to market thing. I don't know. Like, I think that writing to market for me was always a little bit hard anyway, right? And so I want to tell the stories that I want to tell, but now I feel like I need to lean into that even harder. I need to believe in who I am as a storyteller and know that the right people will connect with those stories.
Yeah, you know what's great at writing to market and is going to get better? AI is fucking amazing at writing to market. That's all it can do is write to market, kind of, in a way. Honestly, like I've gone back and forth on the whole AI thing, and I have this this thing I mentioned to a few people, and every time I tell it, it feels more important. So I'll tell it again here. And it's a Bob Schneider story. Bob Schneider's an Austin musician. He's my favorite performer.
Well, I was thinking of Rob Schneider, the ex-SNL comedian.
Yeah, let's go ahead and differentiate Rob from Bob. I
Bob
like
with a B.
Bob,
All right.
yes. And so he's basically known as a musician. He's kind of an Austin darling. He's been doing it since like the 80s or whatever. But he's also a visual artist and a poet. And like, so he does a bunch of different things. Like he paints and does all this stuff. And I don't really care about poetry. It's something that has never been that interesting to me. Not because I'm like too good for it or whatever. It's just I've never connected with it. So when I see it, I'm like, okay, there's words on a page and I can read them and I guess I'm supposed to feel
only
something.
connect with it if it's got a beat behind it.
If it's got a beat, right. Yeah, you want to do some beatboxing? You want to do it? No. Okay.
Maybe later.
Me?
Just either. So
I
anyway,
thought about it and I was like,
somebody sent me this thing because I'm not on any social media, but somebody sent me an Instagram video, and you can watch an Instagram video if you're not on Instagram, of this little, he wrote a poem and then created an AI short to go with it. I can send it to you guys if you're curious. And the poem is called The High School. And it's like, I guess like somebody giving an awkward play at a high school, like standing up on stage. And so I'm like, I wouldn't have connected with that, even though this is my favorite creator. But this little video, he used AI to create it. It's entirely AI generated, and he narrates it. And it's got like this ambient, like you're out in the woods sort of sound going on in the background, and the main character is a Bob Schneider puppet, like he's got like a marionette with strings and stuff. And the whole experience was like, now I see and I feel the emotional experience that he's trying to convey in a way I never would have with text. And it just made me go, wow, AI made that better. AI conveyed the artist's intention to me in a more holistic way that I never would have connected otherwise, and he never would have been able to do. Like, he was never going to hire an animation studio. That was never on the table. So people who talk about taking jobs away from artists, legit concern, but in this case, it just never would have happened. So like, that's a case where I feel that that's a positive use of that technology.
Yeah, dude, I love that story for so many reasons, and I'm sure you know at least some of them. But that's exactly true. I'm finding right now that so Author Nation, not last year, but the year before, I got there and somebody was very, very excited, and they're like, "Oh my God, I can write 2 books a day."
Yeah,
And
I remember this discussion.
they were so excited about this. I can write 2 books a day, and I was just like, I
don't know how to shitty
respond
books a
to
day.
that because I'm a fast reader. I can't read 2 books a day. And so even if I got up early and I focused, I mean, it would take you a month to read 2 books, right, Dave? Even with focus. So if you can create 2 books a day, who's reading those books? It's just the 2 market thing. That doesn't excite me at all. I already write fast enough. I don't need to write faster. I don't need to create faster, but I want to make things I wouldn't be able to make otherwise. And so like music has been a big thing for me. You can hear the music, the Smarter Artists Never Die song. Like that was a lot of fun to write. And I'm able to write like ever since I was a little boy, I wanted to be a songwriter and, but like I'm not a musician, but I am a producer. I know how to describe the things that I want to hear. And with AI, you can use it as a producer. It's a collaborator. So no, I would never hire like a room full of musicians to create the Smarter Artists Never Die song. But now that the Smarter Artists Never Die song exists, I believe that there's a world where we could hire musicians to now, do a live version of the song. I believe that I will write songs that will be performed by real musicians at some point in the future, but they only exist because of this new tool that allows me to explore creative parts of myself that would not otherwise be nurtured. And to Johnny's point, have expressions of who I am that wouldn't exist otherwise. It's not like, it's in that instance, it's only additive. But I think that it's weird and it's new and the culture hasn't caught up to the technology or the possibility, and it will. The parallel I've been drawing a lot lately is if you go back 30 years, there were a lot of artists who said, Photoshop is evil. I will never use Photoshop. Real artists do not use Photoshop. And now Photoshop is kind of a part of like almost every artist process. If it's not Photoshop, it's some version.
Which is digital drawing. That's my son does almost exclusively digital drawing.
But there were people who were very upset with digital drawing. Like a lot of animators were like, this is the end of everything. And it actually opened up more doors for more animators. And so I think that it's a weird time.
As an artist, I will say the distinction, however, for me, and what I imagine the criticisms are, is even with digital drawing, it's not you push a button and make art. You're drawing it out. You're doing all the stuff. You're just doing it on a screen, which allows you to go back and forward and do more in a way, but it's still you making the thing. It's still your talent drawing the thing. You're not like telling AI to draw the thing. There is a difference.
But yeah, I mean, I wrote a start to finish album last year, and despite having robots help me with the music, I spent longer creating that album than any book I've written in years. Like it was a substantial undertaking, but when I was done, I felt more creatively fulfilled than anything I've made in a long time. It felt like, wow, this is touching parts of me creatively that have never been nurtured before, that I've kind of longed for in a way I didn't even realize until I was making the thing. So I didn't get there fast. I didn't push a bunch of buttons and have this thing made. It's a lot of taxing mental power. And that's the thing. If you're outsourcing your thinking or your creativity to the robots, you're cheating yourself and you're not going to develop an audience.
What are you doing it for, though? I think that's the question nobody's asking. Like, nobody is stopping anybody from making whatever kind of art in whatever kind of way they want, no matter how draconian it might be. Like that, who cares? The question is about commerce and, in theory, audience. So, like, I mean, I know that those are still issues, right? Because we want to make a living as artists, but novelists in the past, most of them didn't make a living doing it. Artists in the past, unless they had a patron, didn't make a living doing it. We've just gotten, I was going to say spoiled, but it's more like brainwashed into thinking that artists today need to be full-time. Like, I hear that shit all the time, and it makes me angry. I'm like, so you're telling me that if you're publishing books and you've made $1,000 a month and you made $12,000 a year, oh, I guess you failed. No, you didn't. You just didn't make a full-time living. And while that might suck because people want to make a full-time living, it isn't that far from classical reality as artists. So, like, if you want to make the art, nobody's stopping you from making the art. The question is it considered valid by somebody else? Or does it attract an audience? Does it get you attention? Does it get you money? Those are separate questions.
Yeah, I struggle with a lot of this because, like, I appreciate what Sean is doing on the musical side of things because it is a person making this saying, listen to the songs, they're good. And as somebody that also wanted to be a musician and learn instruments, I can envision a way where I'm somehow using AI to make music myself. But I feel like for me, I have to have some part of it. I can't tell it the music to make, but if I hum it and then it makes an instrument, like I want to hum a cello part, I can do that. And if it can replicate that, that's not too much different from me using a keyboard or to make electronic music. So it's
Even if
still
you're just
coming.
describing, like, I don't hum into
No, no, no. I know you don't. I'm like, that's a bridge I need to cross for
right,
that.
but I'm still like, it takes a lot of iteration, but through all that iteration, I'm using my almost 50 years on the planet loving music to, like, this is my experience. This is the kind of sound I want. I'm all of a sudden 9 years old again at a Jackson Browne show with my mom and trying to describe the sounds that I want to make, so or
You
like,
might be the only 9-year-old that was ever subjected to Jackson Browne.
dude, I fucking love Jackson Browne. Fuck
Or
you.
the only one who's trying to describe the sounds he wants to make. Usually
Yeah, you are very good at programming and telling it. You have a skill set that I think a lot of people don't have, and it will be a skill set that differentiates people that use AI to create what they're imagining versus people just pushing a button and looking for
Well,
easy
you know what?
money.
I think my unfair advantage is that I treat AI like a legitimate collaborator, and I've been professionally collaborating for 15 years. So I know how to communicate with a fellow artist, and I know that's very uncomfortable for a lot of people to think of the robots as fellow artists. But if I want the result that I want, I need to treat it like a collaborator, not a tool. I'm not like, do this thing for me. It's more like you want a back and forth, and that's why the album took 100 hours or whatever it took. Like, that's not an exaggeration. I would say it took a little over 100 hours, actually. Way over 100 hours. Now I'm doing some math here. Like, it was a big undertaking, but it was a lot of back and forth. It wasn't pushing buttons. And I think that I don't know of the last project I had that pushed me as an artist. And I think that's important too. Like, I've written a lot of books, and there came a point where I stopped learning as much. And, after the first 5 years or so of us all writing together, I kind of felt like I wasn't getting pushed anymore. And then Bonnie joined the company, and Bonnie pushed the fuck out of me because Bonnie was like, no, 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 no. And, she would redline stuff. And I wrote a 200,000 word book, and she cut out 70,000 words. And she taught me to write leaner and stronger and better. And I felt like I learned a lot working with her, and I want to be pushed as an artist. And this is the most recent thing that has really pushed me to grow. And if you're not growing, you're dying. So I feel like the genie is out of the bottle. Like, we're not putting it back in. So how do you grow yourself, and how do you grow your audience in this new reality?
I mean, the question as far as arts is not like, does it exist, or can I, like, that's a separate question from, is it taking my job? So that's really the question we're all talking about. Is it taking my job? Is it taking my adoration? Is it taking the audiences that I imagine? I don't know. Like, I'm not trying to apologize for all of it. I'm just like, it's here. We aren't getting rid of it. So I have two choices: either like be stodgy and bitch about it, or I don't know, find ways to make peace with it. So I don't know.
And I'll say, just in the last few years, I've watched you on that journey, Johnny. Because when AI was first happening, that was your response, was like, "Fuck! I used to be able to write well and blah 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 and fast, and now there's this thing that can do this thing." But I don't see you in that same spot now. You're like, "Well, I can get deeper in who I am. I can be better at what I do, and not fight this."
Well, is it about us, or is it about the external world, is really the existential question there. Because like, I like to be able to do things that other people can't do. And that was what that was. And now it's like, oh, okay, I guess other people can do it. So, but it's like, well, was I trying to do my entire life for other people? I don't know. I mean, but I'm very aware that there is a line here where we need to make a living and all of that. And we want the connection. If you don't have fans, if you don't have readers, you don't have the connection. So I'm not in any way dismissing that at all. I'm just trying to reframe some of it. And I think the solution for us is, a book is an experience. And then there's the experience of, I just got the story, which is what kind of mass market is doing. And then there's the experience that involves a creator and a connection. And that's the fans that I'm going to try to court, because they're out there. It's a big world.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the reasons we're doing the show again, is because we want to connect, right? Like, we can sit behind doors and make stuff all day long, but being out there and connecting on a human level, the three of us with each other, and then our connection opens the door for other connections, and that's exponential. You like that, the robots will never give you that.
Can't take the creator out of the creative. Yeah, like, we still write all of our own books. I don't see that ever changing. We don't use AI to create the books. I don't know. Maybe Sean has a different opinion. But in areas where AI can help versus do the job, help you tell your, I don't know, whatever.
Well, Dave, you're a storyteller. You want to tell stories. You're wired to
Yeah.
tell stories. You're going to tell them anyway.
Yeah,
Right.
no,
The existence of AI does not take that away from you.
right now in the company, AI is forbidden for generative purposes and welcomed as a brainstorming partner. And that, I think, that makes a lot of sense, because the storyteller should be in charge 1,000% of the time. And I think that when that relationship loosens, it just becomes a different thing. And that doesn't mean that there's not a place for that thing. And I do love experimentation. So I can't imagine a world where I'm not going to experiment and see what's up. But I'm more I'm not interested. I'm more interested in doing things that I couldn't do otherwise. So like, right now, this is very, very new, but we're flirting with like animated shorts in one space. And that's fun, because I love the idea of animated shorts. I couldn't do that. I can't hire a full entire animation team.
Would you?
Right.
You're not, that isn't taking a job away from somebody else. It's additive.
Yes, it's additive. And if we grow that part of the business, then there's room for more creators, and our company gets bigger and more stable, and we can bring more people in. So it is all additive, but we're also very intentional. We're very intentional about what we create, how we create it, and who we create it with. And so I can't imagine a world where that will change. And if we continue to be intentional, then our results will be intentional.
All right. Well, I feel like we've gone on quite a bit here, run past our original 45 minutes. I am enjoying the conversation, but I don't know that we're ever going to like figure out a solution that pleases everybody, or
No,
even
this is an
ourselves.
ongoing conversation. And I know that it's divisive. I know that there are people who, like, they hear AI and it's just it's so uncomfortable. But I think that it's a weird time, and it's a weird topic, and it is uncomfortable. AI is weird. If we could snap our fingers and go back to a world where it didn't exist, hallelujah. But we can't do that. This is our reality. And as creators, if we want to stay relevant and if we want to stay inspired and we want to have an audience, we have to confront the reality and we have to see how does it fit in with who I am as a creator and the things I want to make and the audiences that I want to nurture. And I think if you put your head in the sand and ignore it, then, you're going to have a very difficult time staying relevant.
Your response is practical on this. Like, it exists. What am I going to do about it?
All right. Well, that's it for this episode then. Thank you all for listening. Do we have any calls to action?
I don't have any calls to action, bitch.
Yeah, I don't think we have any. I don't know where. I would say by the time this episode airs, you can visit thesmarterartist.net. That will be the home for the shows, and we will be putting more content up there over time. So visit thesmarterartist.net, and Dave will have a CTA come into a closing near you soon.
Is it a fisting funnel? I hope it's a fisting funnel. Since I'm new, Dave, I get to say that.
So for next week, I have the topic, and this is open to change if Johnny doesn't like it. So 3 is going to be our favorite fictional worlds.
Oh, that's fun.
Why do I get special
Why wouldn't he
dispensation?
like it?
What,
Yeah.
why?
Well, because I ran it by Sean. I shared notes with Sean on episodes and structure. He said, Johnny doesn't want to hear your fucking notes or structure.
Right, but just because he doesn't want to hear your notes and structure doesn't mean he'll object to them.
Right, I'm gonna object to everything. I'm like, I'm just gonna be sitting back here eating nachos, bitch.
Dude, can you please eat nachos next week, or at least have a White
Popcorn.
Russian, one or the other?
That would be nachos are way funnier than popcorn,
I agree.
especially if they have that like cheese from a can, the stuff that's just like not cheese.
Okay, episode 3. The new subject will be nachos versus popcorn.
I like it.
Or
Stay
nachos versus structure.
All right. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye, adios. See you next week.
They chase the spark, we own the dark. They feed the scroll while we leave a mark. No tricks, no hacks, just the code they lack. Yeah. We stay on the rails while they fall off the track. Smarter artists never die. Yeah. We don't lay stone for spectacle, don't frame for applause. We build the boring way with discipline and pause. They expect the penthouse view before the footing is set. A crown without calluses, a win without sweat. The craft is in the mortar, not the hunger for more. Not the facade that cracks with a hollowed out core. You want the trick, it's tedious, it's thankless, it's true. Show up with intention till the structure starts showing you. They go fast, we go far. Paper planes versus iron bars. They chase spikes, we stack days. We build the house that never fades. Let them run, let them fly. Smarter artists never die. Yeah. They chase vanity metrics that die at the peak. We pour the slow foundations while they sprint for the streak. We don't rent out retention to whatever blows through. We're setting corner posts for storms they never knew. We're not racing to the ribbon, we're widening the base. Let the footing fully cure before the frame locks in place. Every draft's another course, every session's a beam. We're not chasing momentum, we're constructing the dream. They go fast, we go far. Paper planes versus iron bars. They chase spikes, we stack days. We build the house that never fades. Let them run, let them fly. Smarter artists never die. They'll throw parades while you're still setting the forms. Pop champagne and glass towers while you're bracing for storms. Some nights you wonder if the blueprint's a lie, if the long game's just patience that forgot how to fly. But scars become low bearing when the structure survives. When the fast builds crack open and the slow ones stay alive. We don't ask for permission, we don't wait to be seen. We're drafting our futures in the quiet in between. They go fast, we go far. Paper planes versus iron bars. They